Hi, all of you spiritual beings. I am filming this pretty late in the evening, but I felt like I would be in a good state to do it because when I get kind of tired, I actually become kind of in an altered state myself, and sometimes it's easier to formulate my thoughts and ideas because I kind of let my brain get out of the way and kind of say what I want to say from my heart. So that's what I'm doing. I don't have a big plan here for this video. I'm basically talking about what it was like to be a skeptic for most of my life, and to some degree am still a skeptic, and yet am very spiritually oriented and very open to all sorts of phenomena and experiences that defy rational explanation. And so let me explain a little bit about that. I don't think any discussion about this can actually make any sense unless you realize where I started from. And that is that when I was around a year old, I basically died and came back. I coded, I received last rites before that happened. And the doctors basically had to resuscitate me. I don't know how long I was actually gone for. I don't know. And obviously, I have no conscious memory of it. But I am a firm believer that anyone who has died at some point and had a near death experience or a death experience and come back, that they come back at least with certain insights, if not necessarily certain abilities. Now, those didn't really manifest in me when I was growing up. In fact, I had a lot of fears. Interestingly, one of my fears was never dying. I think I had seen something when I crossed over or had a near-death experience, and probably that gave me comfort because I've never had a fear of death, which I credit to that experience when I was basically a baby. But I did grow up with a lot of other kinds of fears about the world. And I think it's because I was extra sensitive. I was extra sensitive to sensing things, experiencing things. And so, therefore, I had a lot of fear around it, and I really didn't know what to do with that. Now, by the time I became an adult, I was very curious about a lot of that stuff. So the fear kind of faded away to some degree, and I became very interested in at least understanding things or exploring things. And so that's when I was both kind of a skeptic and a believer at the same time. And it kind of went back and forth that way. Actually, one other thing I want to talk about in my childhood, I was raised Catholic. My parents were not devout Catholics. My dad had been a Catholic since he was born. My mother converted when she married my dad, so she had not always been a Catholic. But we only went to church on certain occasions and randomly. My dad sometimes would get an urge to go to church and he would take me with him when I was little, like maybe 7 or 8 years old. And I always liked certain things about the Catholic Church. I liked the mysticism. I liked the concept of angels, if you watched my video, this last video or two. I liked they used to do Mass in Latin when I was really young, and I used to love that. Like, there were things I really liked about the Catholic service and about Catholic beliefs to some degree. But when my parents enrolled me in catechism, and I did go through my first Holy Communion on schedule and all that, but I was still in catechism after that because, of course, then you have to gear up for your confirmation, and which I never was confirmed. So, but what happened when I was about 8 years old is I really had a lot of questions about what was part and parcel of the religion. And so, unfortunately, I would ask those of the visiting priest that would come. He wasn't there every Saturday for catechism, but he would show up once in a while and he would ask us questions. And if you got the questions right, you would get little holy cards. They were like the religious version of baseball cards. And everybody wanted a Virgin Mary. Like, that was the ultimate card. And so I tried to do well at that, But I always had a lot of questions. And so instead of just answering the priest question, I would usually ask a question. Well, that didn't go over real well at catechism. And the priest basically told my parents, not sure how he told them, but he said, I don't think Allison really is benefiting from catechism. So I was kicked out. And that kind of marks something about my skeptic life. I was a skeptic even when I was 8 years old. All right. So that has continued through most of my life. While on the other hand, I have a tremendous faith and belief in certain things. And the two kind of don't go together. And yet that's kind of who I am. I've never been a person that wholeheartedly threw myself into a faith or belief and just went with it, 100%. I just was never that person. And so it's been a rocky road. It's been a very rocky road. But I have had incredible experiences, a lot of which I will be sharing in the weeks to come on this channel, which make me believe in certain things, because it's hard not to believe something when you've experienced something. It's like in my very first video on this channel, I shared about having that incredible experience that came about through meditation, and how I can't discount what that was. It was real in the moment. And it was something that happened to my soul or my psyche or whatever you want to call it. And it gave me a glimpse into another view of at least the physical world. Now, I don't understand how that happened or why that happened, but I know it happened because I experienced it. And so that's how I've kind of approached a lot of the things I've gone through in my life. I go through it with a skeptical eye to some degree, but at some point I have to kind of go, okay, I don't have an explanation for this, but it happened. I can't deny it happened. I wasn't on, hallucinogenic substances. I don't understand why it happened. So that's kind of been my personal battle with this, of skepticism versus spirituality, and how they've had to kind of coexist together in my life. And it's been interesting, to say the least. I think I would have had a lot easier spiritual path in life if I had not been so skeptical. Back in the 90s, I also, I got 2 master's degrees, but the first one was in anthropology, cultural anthropology. And the one thing, if any of you anthropologists happen to see this video, about anthropology, is that you're taught to question everything. Now, that went right, that was like, perfect for me as the kind of person I was, because I had grown up questioning everything. So becoming an anthropologist when I was around 40 was a natural fit for me. I loved questioning things culturally and religious traditions, whatever. The problem is that doesn't really go with a lot of the spiritual side of me. And so there's always this battle, and especially after I became an anthropologist, it became a real battle. But I think it's happened as it should. If you're going through life and you face certain challenges, I believe there's always a reason for those challenges. And in my case, I think I was meant to question, and I was meant to have not necessarily an easy road on this, and that's okay. I mean, I've made peace with it at this point in my life. But I think it makes it, when I have faith in something, when I have belief in something, it makes it all the more sweeter, because I know that part of my mind was challenging me about it. And I still pushed through and was able to believe in this, whatever it was. And to me, that made it more special to some degree. I don't know if that makes sense as I'm explaining it, but I think the skepticism was an inherent part of my journey. And I think that that's fine. Some people are meant to be skeptics. Some are meant to be believers. And I think that it all fits together in the intricate puzzle of life that we're in. I think, sometimes you do have to question, at least from my perspective. I'm not telling anyone else what they have to do. But for me, I had to question. And like I said, it made, when I actually did reach some sense of knowing about something, it made it all the more valuable to me, all the more precious to me, because I really fought to get there. So that's the topic I wanted to discuss today, because if you're going to watch the rest of my channel, I wanted to give you a sense of the war, the struggle that has gone on within me to reach a lot of the beliefs, knowledge, intuition, inspiration, whatever you want to call it, that I have achieved. I didn't come by it just, blindly trusting in something. I have questioned it every step of the way. I think everything has come together in me the way that it should have, so that I, again, really value what I have experienced and what I do believe. And so I'm going to be sharing that with you in the weeks to come, months to come, whatever. If you've gotten anything out of this video or watched my other videos, please drop a like below and subscribe to the channel. I'd love you being here with Simply Zen Spirit. And remember, until next time I see you, be kind to yourself and others, and take care. Bye.